Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Enjoying precious moments with family and friends is what the holidays are all about. Taking care of your health is also important. Peripheral artery disease, also known as PAD, is a serious medical condition affecting 8.5 million American adults. If you're experiencing leg pain, leg swelling, or difficulty exercising, then you may have PAD. PAD can put you at a risk of a heart attack or stroke. If you or a loved one has any of these symptoms, call today or visit mivcmd.com for more information.
This is Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahhouse.com. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings, family, and welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk, where we talk about life, love, and business. Y'all know how we do. Welcome to everyone. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I hope y'all slept well. I have a question that I want you all to type in the chat. At what age were you, or do you remember the incident where you first became conscious of the presence of God? And I asked that question for a number of reasons. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who's been through a lot of trauma. And I thought, well, okay, at what age, I asked him, were you conscious of the presence of God? And, there's this debate out here about how, children nowadays don't necessarily have to struggle, and it changes how they navigate through the world. And it's just an interesting concept. So I want you to type in the chat around what age you were when you remember feeling or knowing or recognizing that there is a God or the presence of God. Okay. And I'm going somewhere with that. For myself, I'll answer the question. I think I was about 4, somewhere around my earliest memories that I can remember now, around 4. And it was around reading. And I just remember, I don't know, I just remember picking up a book and reading it. And my family talks about no one actually taught me how to read. I just started reading. And I remember that presence there. And I remember always feeling the presence like I had been here before. So somebody said, let's see, some people, Sister Lisa said 5 or 6. Roz said elementary school. It's interesting, right? Because when I talk to people, I was talking to somebody, like I mentioned the other day, and he had been through a lot of trauma as a child. But he's a hugely spiritual person. And I said, it's just so interesting that your whole life you've been through so much trauma. And some of us religious people think, well, that person that's been through all that trauma is not going to be more spiritual than somebody who hasn't. And sometimes we think that by spoiling our children and they go into private schools and all of that, that they're going to know God better. And he said to me, he said, well, the reason why I remember knowing God was because I never was in a safe place growing up. My parents didn't keep me safe. There were a lot of things going around. So I had to come up with something in my mind that I believed would keep me safe. And I was like, wow, that's really powerful. So as I was kind of dissecting his relationship with God and how he can just, call up stuff like that and, get really spiritual. And I said, is that because you were always unsafe and you had to call on God? And that's not the only person that I know that's like that. Especially a lot of men, believe it or not, are deeply spiritual because they just never really felt safe growing up. And oftentimes we don't teach our boys to value their bodies or value themselves. We don't even teach our boys a lot of times or help them to feel safe, which is interesting. That's a whole nother study in and of itself. But I just found that interesting. And I thought I'd pose that question to us so that we could start thinking about it and think about the evolution of our relationship with God, which I think is really an interesting. I think it's an interesting concept to think about the evolution of our relationship with God. So think about that. At 4, I remember it was all around reading. It was reading, and then I remember daycare, I remember kindergarten, and I just remember feeling like this presence was with me, but for some reason I only felt it when I was reading. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if that was some kind of memory that I was getting from something else. I'm not sure, but I just thought it was quite interesting. Okay. All right. Welcome, 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 Sister Alicia, Sister Roxanne, Sister Lisa, Sister Letha. We got sisters in the house today. Praise be to Allah. I'm so excited because I don't get that many of us. This is beautiful. So, all right. So there's this concept that I was studying for most of the last 2 weeks, based on a conversation I had with someone who said that they were a transhumanist. And I was like, wow, a transhumanist. I said, well, what's that? And he said, it's somebody who is trying to evolve to the space of being a superhuman. And I said, okay, that's interesting. This person's a doctor, so I thought it was a really interesting conversation. And what I felt like when he was describing this whole transhuman thing, it felt like something that was very akin to what we learn in the Nation of Islam and what makes us really, as Muslims, superhumans. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. And so we got into the conversation about extending life and cloning and all of that, but it was interesting. And I said, well, tell me, what are the tenets, that you subscribe to, and what is that? And he said, the first one is supreme well-being. Listen to the language, supreme well-being. The second one is longevity. And the third one, he said, is either called super intelligence or supreme intelligence. And I said, okay. And I said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked to us and have taught us about those three things. I said, the one thing that you're missing is that that interaction with Almighty God, Allah. Where's the soul connection? Where's the connection to the Creator? Because you guys are doing this with external things, with computers and, vitamins, medicine, stem cells, all this stuff. And I said, let's talk about supreme or super well-being. And I said, we have a book called How to Eat to Live and a way of living called How to Eat to Live that includes what you call intermittent fasting. It also includes, a 2.5 to 3 day fast once a month. And a lot of people think about fasting in terms of just cleaning your system out. But I was explaining that, yeah, it is a cleaning of the system, but it also is retweaking our discipline, which goes into the super intelligence piece, getting us back on track in terms of just controlling ourselves, controlling our urges, that kind of thing. But it also, on another level, helps to activate the stem cells in our bone marrow. because when you fast or when there's pressure, and this is interesting, under pressure, our bones release or activate stem cells that help us to survive, that help us to move, that help us to renew our energy and renew the cells in our body. And so I was thinking about that, and I said, you know what's interesting? Because as Black people, we are always under a lot of pressure. And I just think it's nothing short of miraculous and absolute divine intervention that we're still here. And many of us are of a certain age, and we look super young for our age, or the people like to say, oh, Black don't crack and all of that. But could that be because of the tremendous amount of pressure that we've been under that has caused the body to release certain chemicals and certain hormones? But guess what? What would happen if we did this in a space where we weren't always in fight or flight? What if we weren't counterbalancing the release of the stem cells in our bones and the rejuvenation of our hormones and our cells in our body? What if we weren't counterbalancing that with stress? And what if we found a way through the manipulation of our mind or hacking our mind to relieve ourselves from stress, so that as we practice, in this case, the how to eat to live, that we are maintaining the benefits of it and not counterbalancing it, yes, magnetic kinetic, with survival skills or survival mode. It's like you gain 5 steps and then you get pushed back 5 steps because you get a reserve. It's like a deposit, right? So when you're fasting, when you're doing the intermittent fasting, when you're not eating pork, when you're eating certain vegetables that don't include, all these chemicals, you're eating at a certain time of day, you're depositing certain cellular renewal and hormone balancing and releasing stem cells. You're depositing that, let's say, in your health bank. But then what happens is we go into survival mode, fight or flight, because somehow we think in our mind that we got to be superheroes and endure stuff that's uncomfortable for us in order to make ourselves worthy. See, this is the trick that society is playing on us. So when we do that, then all of what we deposited in the bank with all this disciplined behavior gets extracted or withdrawn by the amount of stress that we live in. And then when we find our bodies all of a sudden we don't feel good, it's because now the survival thing, you can't turn it off. You can't click it off because now we've attached our worthiness to how much we struggle or how much pain we go through. I did a whole show on struggle where we have to kind of look at that and see that differently and see it as God making us in a certain way, turning us in a certain direction, guiding us in a certain direction. But many of us purposely put ourselves in abnormal, stressful situations. We're in jobs we don't like. We're in relationships we don't like. We're in situations that are harmful to us. And we do it on purpose because as a people, we've identified with that. But how much healthier would we be and how much longer would we live if we learned how to either stop sabotaging ourselves and stop pinching ourselves off from the flow of goodness that is out here? What if we learn how to hack our brain so that we're not always in fight or flight? Something to think about. We're going to do a whole show on this. I think I've talked about this a little bit. So there's the super well-being piece of it. Then there's the the longevity piece, which sort of is tied to super well-being, but it includes things like working out our body, understanding where emotion is deposited in our body. You know, if you have pain in your legs, there's certain emotion that is connected to that. If you have pain in your stomach, there's a certain emotion that's connected to that. If you have pain in your head, there's a certain emotion connected to that, or an emotional connection. So knowing how to identify that emotion and then taking that emotion and understanding what it means. Because it's not that you want to turn your emotions off. And I say this all the time when I'm coaching people on emotional intelligence. That it's a lot of people think, well, if in order for me to be emotionally intelligent, I have to control my emotions, or I just have to manage my emotions. But it's more than that. It's understanding what your emotions are saying to you, and understanding the difference between when your emotions are divine guidance to help tweak you or turn you like a coach in another direction, versus, you know, you making up a story in your head and reacting to the story and not reality. You know, but understanding those emotions is really the biggest part of emotional intelligence, and knowing what to do with it. So what if the longevity part has to do with that? Because we get dis-ease and we get distorted, you know, and the minister teaches us that lies distort us. So we start living a lie. We're telling ourselves lies about ourselves, pinching ourselves off from our divine authenticity and all of that stuff, just because we're lying to ourselves. And that lie then distorts you. And once you get distorted, you then start to make moves that are based on the lie, right? So I want us to think about that, because, you know, the body goes where the head goes. It's like in drilling, right? The head goes one way, then the body follows. If you're playing sports, you fall down, your head, whatever direction your head goes in, side, back, whatever, that's where your body's going to go. So think about that in terms of metaphysics and physiology. Whatever is going on in your head, whether it's lies, whether it's fear, whatever it is, that's where that's the physical manifestation that you're going to see. Whether it's certain pains in your body, whether it's certain people reacting to you a certain way. If you're in an environment that you know you don't like, or you're in a relationship you know you're not comfortable with, believe it or not, after a while, just because you don't like it, you start to contribute to the discomfort yourself, especially if you lie to yourself and you're identifying with that lie. So there's this whole complex thing that I think it kind of transcends all the categories. But when you think about longevity, they can impact our body. How much are we exercising every single day? Are we stretching? Are we, meditating? What are we doing physically to help ourselves move around stagnant energy? Because a lot of times disease and pain and things that set up have everything to do with stagnated energy or stagnant energy. It's like water, right? You just sit the water there, after a while, it's going to just get mold and become stagnant. You got the bread in the refrigerator too long, then pretty soon you can't use it, or the food's going to rot. So certain parts of our body are actually literally rotting. And here's why they may be rotting. One, because we don't move, and we don't move those areas of the body, number one. Number two, because we got issues with blood and blood pressure. So the body is not getting infused properly with enriched blood, which will also help move around some of the stagnation. You have your lymphatic system, which is also part of your vascular system. That is a slow moving system, but those lymphatics need to move. It doesn't move very quickly on its own. With your vascular system, you have your arteries, your veins, and your lymphatic system. And all of that needs to move. Some of it is moving fluid to the heart. Some of it is moving fluid away from the heart. So your veins are bringing blood to the heart and your arteries are moving away from the heart. But if you're suffering from stress, fight or flight, and you're causing your vessels to constrict, then all of those organs that will help encourage your longevity are being restricted as well. You're not feeding them, you're not taking care of them like you actually really should. So in terms of that longevity, those are things that we really have to think about. You might think, well, I feel good, I'm healthy, but it's not about looking at your body, because the body's the subconscious mind. This right here is your conscious mind. So what's going on here? You can pretty much rest assured that whatever's going on here is going on in the rest of your body. You just may not be conscious of it, and you may not feel it yet. So when we start thinking about longevity, we want to think about what's going on in our mind. Give yourself a mental relief. So if you got, I have big projects going on, and I've been conditioned for doing these long-term, big, heavy pressured type of projects. I was counting up yesterday. It's probably been like the last 15 years that I've been doing these, really carrying heavy weight in terms of these projects. So what I learned is how to take certain breaks during the day. I had to learn how to take a certain day of the week and just be spontaneous and go, you know what? I'm gonna go to a show. I'm gonna go out to eat. A friend may call and say, hey, come hang out. I had to learn how to do that. Why? Because you want to give your central nervous system, you want to give your body a break. So sometimes you want to go work out. You come home from work, or maybe in the morning, go work out where you just lose it and don't even think about nothing else. Put on some music and just dance and sing. Whatever helps you take your mind off of what you're struggling with is what we have to learn to do. We have to stop looking at, let me say it this way. A lot of us are intimidated, and by great people that we see as examples. Okay, if you tell somebody, well, what's your purpose? We think about Minister Farrakhan, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, those kind of people, those people who are extraordinary on another level. Well, I think what we have to start thinking about is, how do we in here, not going, okay, let me just try to be exactly like that. How do I give myself some relief so that I can help that person, or so that I can move with that person as they're moving and walking on their journey in the volume of the book? How do we do that? So make sure you vary that a little bit. If you're working, you're at work all day, what pet project do you have that you come home and do, that you dedicate yourself to? And I suggest that, because this is what happens to us. We go to work, we come home, we do a couple things, and then we just fall out and go to sleep. I would suggest take a moment, stay up an extra hour, work on a pet project. I don't care if you're knitting and crocheting. I don't care if you're writing a program. You can be working on Sajdah House or whatever, but find some time to diversify your energy and your thoughts so you give yourself a break. And let me tell you something. In order to become a powerful manifester, you have to know how to put a thought and a desire in your mind and then not work against it. So you put the thought in your mind, and this is what we do. We have a desire. We say we want something, but we're constantly keeping score. So we go, I really want a house. And I'm saving up this money for a house. And all along, every single day, instead of us putting ourselves in the house mentally and visualizing and emotionalizing ourselves with the house or in the house, what we do is we're constantly keeping score. And we go, they ain't here yet. I ain't got enough money. This ain't working. And that's putting extra pressure on yourself. You want to be careful with what do they call these things? Affirmations. You want to be careful with those kind of things, because sometimes it depends. Sometimes if I hear people say, you should put on your mirror, I am a billionaire. Well, when you walk in your efficiency, your studio apartment, and you know you ain't no billionaire, then your brain automatically rejects that because it knows you're lying. So you want to treat yourself with integrity and love. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, make sure you go do it. Oftentimes I do things not because I told somebody else I was going to do it, because I told myself I was going to do it. I told myself I was going to get up this morning and go run or whatever. Because I told myself that, I treat myself with respect. So with affirmations, I try to generalize and walk myself into it, and sometimes starting with general statements. So instead of going, I'm a billionaire, maybe I need to say, I'm on the road to that billion. Matter of fact, I'm on the road to several billions. There's billions of everything around me. There's billions of ants. There's billions of sun rays. There's billions of stars. The billions are all around me. And so I'm saying all these things to myself related to this building, things that I can believe and things that I can connect to. So the concept of becoming a billionaire is not something that I'm rejecting or I'm subconsciously saying, I know I ain't gonna do that. I said, there's a billion ways in which Allah has supported me. There's a billion ways in which I can make him known if I'm a billionaire. So use those kinds of statements to talk to yourself, to give yourself some relief, because sometimes our affirmations put too much pressure on us because we believe they're a lie. And so you got to know how to talk yourself into it. Let's say you want to lose weight. You can say, okay, well, today I'm a pound lighter than I was yesterday. And you can look in the mirror and go, I'm still fine though. Or you can say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to work out. And that's going to get me further towards my goal. And I know that Allah does not want me to be sick or diseased. And so the mere fact that I have this desire in my heart, he's going to help me with this. So you got to work with yourself. And if you can't think of nothing else to say, just say, you know what? I know Allah has never forsaken me. I know that. I know he would not forsake me. And so I'm not going to worry about it. I know he's here with me. I know that whatever I'm asking for is teeny tiny when it comes to him. He told us if we have the faith the size of a mustard seed, we can move a mountain. Well, what I'm asking for is smaller than a mustard seed to him. You might only be asking for $100,000. You know, I asked him for $1 billion. I said, that's nothing for Allah. So these are the kind of things kind of ways we have to talk to ourselves, because believe it or not, how we handle ourselves, the situations we put ourselves in impact our longevity. Okay. So we talked about super well-being, longevity, and the next part is supreme intelligence. Well, y'all know we got that on lock, right? Wink, wink. Why do we have it on lock? Because we have access to supreme wisdom. And we have access to supreme wisdom that when we put it in our mind, whether it's our lessons, whether it's the Holy Quran, certain verses of the Bible, the way we put it together, certain prayer rituals, if you will, that we go through, certain relationship interactions that we have with God, certain beliefs, those things then lead to that super intelligence. There's a study, I think it's on, Morgan Freeman has that National Geographic show called Who is God? There's a part 1 and there's a part 2. And in part 2, he went to some universities, not University of Chicago. He went there for something else, but he went to a university and they had him to pray and focus on God. So what they did first, let me start over. What they had him to do was to just take a brain scan, just a regular brain scan, just the way he is now, just up, walking, talking. Then they had him to go and take a brain scan after 10 or 11 minutes of focusing on God only. And what they noticed was that the frontal lobe of his brain was more activated. Actually, the whole brain, but especially the frontal lobe was more activated when he was focusing on God. And so for me, what I took from that was our focus on God, our meditation, our prayer, our study is literally changing the cellular structure of our body. It's impacting our nervous system. It's changing our brain and the blood pressure and the way our heart beats. And this has been proven scientifically. They inject the radioactive dye in, you get in an MRI, and they can tell you, just like when you're afraid, you get in the MRI, they can see how tight your vessels are and how restricted your blood flow gets to your organs when you're afraid. Because the blood flow when you're afraid redirects itself to the muscles because it's thinking, uh-oh, something's about to go down. We got to get up out of here. So your muscles end up taking more of the blood than your heart, your liver, your kidneys. So that's why we have to be careful with giving ourselves a break from stress, from fear, and all that kind of stuff, because fight or flight is not meant to be a long-term condition. And we are ultimately killing ourselves by staying in fight or flight all the time. So you got to have something that you do. Come home, talk to your husband, talk to your wife, get on the phone, talk to somebody, give yourself a break, laugh, do something. But what you want to do is you want to give the body variety so that it responds to the variety. And then if you know me, I do everything based on vibration and energy. And that came about because as a child, I learned that I was pretty good at seeing things. And when you're a seer and you become more spiritual and you can see maybe that people aren't right or something's going on, you can't be judgmental because God will take that gift from you. And so what I learned was to pay attention to vibration, because everybody got some stuff with them. Excuse my language. We all got some shit with us. So ain't none of us right. Okay. None of us are right, but yet we're all perfect because there's something or some situation or some person that is perfect for you. So what I learned to do was to pay attention to vibration. And I judge situations based on the vibration as opposed to necessarily judging the people that are in the situation. So my question becomes, is this a vibration that's going to further align me with my purpose? Is this a vibration that's going to support who I am? These little people with their little spam getting on our chat here. Let's get rid of them. Is this a vibration that's going to help align me with God? See, that's what we should be looking for when we're talking about relationships. You know, what does that vibration do for us? And it's always important that you connect yourself and have, ongoing interactions with people that got a good vibration. Because just going through life, your vibration is going to be going up and down. But you want to vibrate your way right into whatever it is that you want. So that super intelligence part is not only studying and having knowledge, which is important, but divine intervention is important to super intelligence, if you will, because I say it this way. Most of you all listening, most of you all in the chat, you have goals and dreams and desires that are well beyond your intellectual capacity. You got something you want, but you don't know how to do it, because if you knew how to do it, you'd have been and did it by now. So you need some divine intervention. You need to be able to pull on a source that knows it all. You need to be able to pull on a source that knows what you want and what you need, even though you don't know what you want or what it is that you need. See, I like to say that my goals, my dreams, everything that I'm desiring, it's bigger than my intellectual capacity. It's been me. My mind works as far as legacy. What legacy am I leaving? What am I passing? What's my role in nation building for my people, for my family? How do I change the trajectory of people who are connected to me? So that means that now I have to defy an entire system that says that as a Black woman, I ain't nothing. So in order to defy that system and leave a mark, I got to go beyond my intellectual capacity. So you want to make sure that you get in the habit of practicing pulling on something that is greater than you. And that's just not at certain times a day. You do your obligatory prayers at certain times a day, but you should be walking with Allah all the day, all the time. There should be a conversation. People should think you crazy. You should be mumbling like, oh, Allah, I don't know what this is. Because y'all should be tight. You and Allah should be ace boon coons. Then you start to open yourself to hearing him and look at him everywhere. Ah, okay, I see you. I was yesterday, what was it, 10 or 11 degrees? And when I went outside, the birds that I saw 2 blue jays, a red cardinal, a bunch of little yellow finches and brown finches. And I said, Allah, is spring around the corner? What are they doing? Because I have bird feeders, and normally when it's cold like that, you never see them. But I took the moment and took the time to go, okay, Allah, I see you. Because why do I see him? I see his creations. Go back to nature, like we were taught during the criterion. Go back to nature. Go back to go back to the created things. That's nature, the created things. So I want to say this also. This is the other thing that was on my mind this week, because I did a little vibrational currency on my Instagram. I think on Twitter too, about this. And it came from, I saw something someone posted that the minister said about this, about using our gifts and not wasting our life. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly how he said it. But something that I actually thought of was, so many of us walk around with all these gifts and all these talents. And we say we love God, but we don't love our gifts and talents enough to pursue or use them. See, this is the balance, especially for those of us that are part of a big mission, like being in the Nation of Islam. I'll use that as an example. I have friends who are a big part of their churches and things like that. So those of us who have taken on a big mission, we have to be soldiers. We have to be obedient. We have to be responsive. But we have the additional pressure of figuring out why we showed up on the planet. What's our talent? What do we contribute to our nation? And how do we honor Allah in us? How do we honor the God within? Because he put so much of himself in each and every one of us. He put so much of himself in each and every one of us. And it has to be that case, right? Because we wouldn't be here. So he had something he specifically wanted to say, something he specifically wanted to express when he decided to come in the form of you and I. We are an expression of Almighty God, Allah, and collectively we make up who he is. It's like those beautiful birds are his expression, the leaves are his expression, the trees, the lights, it's all his expression. But yet that form of expression inside of us that is represented by our talents, we just ignore. We hide behind, we use the excuse of being busy, doing other things to neglect our talent. And really, ultimately, we're neglecting the God within. So that's why I tell you, take an hour or two a day. Even if you got to stay up extra late and you're tired, focus on your gifts. If you're a writer, take that extra hour and start writing. Take that extra hour and put some songs together. Take that extra hour and start to create and do something that honors the God in you. Because if you're always focusing out here and everything you do is based on what somebody else wants you to do, then what's going to happen is you're going to look up years from now and you're going to be mad at the people who are just doing their job by telling you what to do. You're going to be mad at them, but it ain't their fault. It's your fault, because you got to find some balance. If you know you have a talent, take that time. Take the weekend and study your gift, your talent. You got a dream, you got to go. Let me start studying it. Let me start paying attention. See, this is the only way we're going to be able to be of service, not only to our nation, but to our community and to our families. Because after we give so much of ourselves and allow ourselves to be used up, and now we're sick and distorted, look, this world is moving too fast to stop for a minute and pick you up and tell you to come on and stop being sick. So we got to take care of ourselves and take care of each other along the way. We riding on a planet that's moving at what, 1,037 and a third miles per hour. We don't feel a bump. So what else is moving so fast around us? So you got to stop and take a minute and go, all right, I still want to open up whatever business. Let me look at some YouTube videos about that. I don't have my hotel yet, but I look at YouTube videos about hotel development. I look at YouTube videos about museum development. I look at and study what kind of billionaire I'm going to be. So I make sure I spend time and allocate time to that. Because for me, if I just keep going, my life can be so stressful with all that I have going on that pretty soon I'll start to deteriorate, and then you'll start to resent. And we don't want to do that. So we want to balance that out. Take a day and just go and have dinner. Take some time and just go for a walk. Balance yourself out. You cannot be a superhero or a super soldier all the time. And if you think you're being that, you're not, because what's going to happen is that you're going to start to cause dis-ease to settle into your body. You're going to start to pinch yourself off from that divine communication because you're no longer focused on yourself. The voice within you is so quiet because you're so stressed out because you're trying to be super this and super that, Superman, Superwoman, super soldier, super. You can't even hear God anymore. And God might be telling you, hey, you know what? What I wanted for you to do is right there. It's over there. It's right here in front of you. I said it right here in front of you. Or when you finally get it, you're too sick and too old and too tired to appreciate it. See, let me say this last thing before we get off of here. We got 10 minutes. Age is relative. How many of y'all seen the post where Prince said he didn't count age, and that's what keeps him looking 10 years younger than he did 10 years ago? Why? Because see, when you go with this society and the society's counting chronological age, and society's saying to you, by 10, you should be doing this. By age of 20, you should be doing that. By age of 30, you should be moving like this. By age of 40, you should be doing like that. By age of 50, you should be getting ready to sit down. By age of 60, you should be in to sit down. By age of 70, you should be getting ready to die. But the influential people in in our world who have made a difference have never paid attention to that. Don't let this world trap you into a time warp. I hear people all the time, look, I'm 70 years old. I should be. You don't have to keep repeating that. Because what you're doing when you're constantly repeating it as an explanation for what you're gonna do and what ain't gonna take, it's like Black women, right? I remember I had an employee who walked in my office, and she walked in my office and she slammed the door. She said, "Let me tell you something. I'm a grown A woman." I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm a Black woman. You can't walk in my office and say that, because I know what that means. That means you about to lay down some kind of law. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't start counting your time like that. Do you know how long it takes for you to really figure out what the hell is going on? You're going to be 50. You go, okay, I get it. Okay, I got it. I see people at 70 going, oh, okay, here's my, here's my Colonel Sandals. Here's my Colonel Sanders accomplishments, or here's this, or here's that. So you want to be careful with that. Okay. No one defines who you are. You don't necessarily know. You don't know what God has for you. God does not say, I'm only going to give you something to do between the ages of 0 and 30. And after that, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I ain't going to give you nothing to do. This is what society says. Society's like, okay, after 30, I ain't dealing with you no more. I'm going to throw you out I'm going to put you out to pasture. I'm going to turn my back on you. That's not God. That's not Allah. He's not saying, I'm done with you after a certain age. Because the more you take care of yourself, the more you submit, the more you become conscious of what things mean in your life, the older you get. And I like to say every day you get newer. Because I'm newer today than I was yesterday. Society may say, oh, you a year older. No. I'm a year newer because I'm newer today than I was yesterday. So every day I'm reinventing myself. Every day I'm becoming newer and better and greater and more fabulous and more powerful and more loving and richer and better every day in every way. Every day in every way, I'm getting closer and closer to Almighty God Allah, and He's renewing me and restoring me every single day. So forget what the society says. Forget them. Come on, y'all. Every day, in every way. So with that being said, we now have to go into our purpose. Because as we become newer, as we become greater, we can handle more. We should be better at manifesting. Excuse me. We should be better at developing. We should be a better sister. We should be a better mother. We should be better. We should be better. Let's see. Magnetic said, doesn't it take 75 years? I'm sorry, my voice is acting crazy. Before we learn how to live. Yeah, I've heard it said that way. But most of us are checking out of here at 75. So we'll never know. But yet I'm talking to this white doctor who's talking about transhumanism, and he's trying to figure out how to be 150 years old. He talked about how he was so on point. He started talking about genetic cocktails and stem cells and studying certain things and listening to certain frequencies and frequency waves and music types so that he could live to be 1,000 years. Because they know that by 75, you're just getting started. You're just a baby. So people who are caught up in that kind of societal thing, they're going to miss the mark. They're going to miss the mark. But I thought it was interesting, and hearing him talk about that, hearing him talk about living 150, 200 years. And this is not some biblical thing. These are people who are really practicing this and working on this, who are really trying to put this thing together. And listen, they start injecting themselves with again, like I said, the stem cells, the genetic cocktails, the high potency vitamin C, which is at a level that you don't produce that in your own body. So something that they pull out of the universe, and the minerals, and they start injecting themselves in that. They'll live to be 150, 200 years old. And what I'm saying to us is that we are in a space where we have access to magic. We have access to divine wisdom that can literally change our cellular structure. Literally. Think of it like this. If you can make yourself sick, you can make yourself well. If you think something, next thing you know, your stomach is hurting, your back is hurting, your head is hurting, you can reverse that. You don't necessarily have to go take a pill to fix that. You already supernatural. You and I are already supernatural, because if we wasn't supernatural, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have survived. Most of us live a life that we've been through more stuff that most people would have been and died about. Most people would have been had a nervous breakdown if they had to live some of our lives. So you're already supernatural. So harness it. Take charge of it. Take charge of your post. Take charge of your health. Take charge of your life. Take charge of your brain. Take charge of how you move through the earth. Bring your environment and your energy with you every place you go. Take charge of that. Be on top of it. You take charge of it. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you. Don't wait for somebody else to say, oh, that was a good person. Or let me say it this way. Don't wait for somebody else to say, make sure you take care of yourself now. A reminder is a mercy. But take charge. Take charge of your post. Study. I study how Allah deals with me. I can tell you when he's trying to tell me something, and when he has told me something, and when he's showing me something. People who know me in the chat know I'll be like, oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I see what he was trying to say to me right here. I can tell you exactly when he says, go this way, do this, go da 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 da. That's right. And all temple property in view. Take charge of your post. And post first is your own self. Put your own mask on yourself first. You cannot nation build unless you take care of yourself, because you're not going to be here to see it through anyway. If you don't take care of yourself, think about how much we would benefit. You got people who've been through what we're going through. They might be 80, 90 years old. If you could have a roundtable discussion with somebody who's doing exactly what you're doing and been doing it since they were 20 and they're 80 or 90 years old, how valuable would that conversation be? You and I are going through all this stuff, and the way we not taking charge of our posts, we ain't gonna make it. But I want to be that person at 90 or 100 that can sit down with people who are 20 and 30 and say, hey, this is what you do. This is how I learned to control my mind. This is how I learned to make magic happen. This is how I learned to draw billions to me in trading and purchasing power. That's important to me. Not to go, okay, I'm going to check up out of here. Imagine if you could talk to Annie Malone. Because I want to ask her, girl, how did you make $17 million in 1918? But we can't talk to her because she's gone. Not only is she gone, nobody cared enough about her legacy to even leave anything about her. So let's take charge of our post. Let's take charge of our post. We have to start thinking about legacy building. We have to stop living hand to mouth. Hand to mouth meaning, let me just struggle and die. No. What's your legacy? You are sitting here right now on your computer. I'm gonna stop in a minute. You're sitting here right now on your computer right this instant as a result of some prayers that maybe your mother made, your grandmother made, your grandfather made. What you gonna do? Check up out of here without fulfilling at least some of what they wanted? We can be superhuman without the extra stuff that these people are talking about they're doing. All we got to do first is start with taking charge of our post, and let's take care of ourselves. So today, analyze yourself. There's no magic formula. Go inside of yourself and say, what do I need right now? How can I feel better? Because let me tell you what the most important thing is. And before we tell you what the most important thing is, the most important thing is that we feel good. That seems selfish, right? But selfishness is important to a certain extent. Why do we have to feel good? We have to feel good so that we're vibrating right. See, when you feel good, you vibrate at a certain level. Okay? And that might mean maybe you need to look good, whatever you got to do. But when you feel good, when you make yourself feel good, you vibrate at a certain level, and then you draw things to you that match that vibration. It's as simple as if you walk in a room and smile, then maybe somebody who smiles back at you is exactly the person that you're looking to meet with, or the person you need. But it matters that you feel good. So don't go to work every day feeling like crap. Don't keep going into situations over and over again that you don't feel good about. Either you need to make yourself feel good. And let me tell you something. This is a trick that I've always used. When I make sure that I feel good, when I make myself feel good about something that I don't necessarily even like, knowing that I got a plan in place, feeling good takes me right up out of that situation in no time. Why? Because the situation no longer matches my vibration. So this hellhole that I'm in won't match the vibration if I'm up here. So it's only a matter of time where my location, my manifestation is going to match what's going on in my mind. And if I'm stuck in a situation that I don't like, or in a position that I don't like, I got to start first by making myself feel good. How do you do that? You start planning. You might say, well, what's my plan? Matter of fact, I don't even know what to do. Let me visualize myself in another situation, in another office, in another job, being an executive, whatever it is, being a better mother, whatever it is. I'm talking to business people right now, but visualize yourself there. And when you visualize yourself, allow yourself to feel the emotion of it. You remember in the movie Life where they was talking about the boom boom room and everybody had closed their eyes and they was at the boom boom room. They was dancing and singing and all of that. That's what you got to do with your dreams. That's what you got to do with your goals. Sit down and be quiet and just let it flow. Ooh, this is how I'm going to feel when I'm with my new husband. Ooh, this is how I'm going to feel when I'm on my boat, on my yacht. I'm going to feel and name the emotion. Oh, it feels confident. It feels love. Oh, Allah, look at how many more people I can help. Look at how many more. Oh my God, this is how I'm going to feel when I open my new school. When I walk into my new hotel, I can't wait to walk into my new hotel. Whatever it is, feel that and get that vibration going first. And guess what? That old stinking environment that you stuck in, it won't even match you anymore. And you'll be out of there before you know it. Reason why you're still there is because vibrationally you're there. All right, y'all. I'm going to stop. Let me get off my soapbox. Peace and blessings, family. Make sure you get your commemorative Elijah coin. I am going to, today is the 4th. We're going to be coming out really soon with the information about the collaboration. We have this beautiful collaboration that I'm so honored and in love with. It's a collaboration between Sajdah House, or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, NOI Archives, and the Table Talks Project. And we're doing this amazing collaboration for Savior's Day. It's our first. The house isn't complete yet, but we are going to begin our collaboration process so that you can see it and see what's going to, that's what's yet to come. And the collaboration, y'all, is so right. When I talk about vibration, when we get off those meetings and off those calls, we had an interview yesterday with the Final Call newspaper. When we finish talking, I feel like I can fly. That's how right that's how right the collaboration is. I feel Allah just hovering. I feel him moving and happy after that collaboration. So I cannot wait for you all to feel that energy with us. And when you combine that energy with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, it's just nothing like it. So get there here first, family. Feel good here first. You come into Savior's Day, be happy when you get to Savior's Day. Create the right energy. Hug your family members. Be excited, but get here first. Whatever it is you desire, get here first and attach an emotion to where you want to go first. And that's going to get you up out of that stinking environment in no time. I'm telling you, because that environment will no longer match who you are. And all of us been in situations where we outgrew something and we couldn't hold on to it if we wanted it, because now our vibration is different. All right. All praises due to Allah. If you did not get your commemorative Elijah coin, please go out there, get your commemorative Elijah coin, give a gift to a pioneer. If you don't want to get a coin, I got scrolling the donation site going across the bottom, sajdahhousedonations.com. Go out there and make a donation. It's so important, so important that we support our own project, our own narrative. The heavy lifting's been done. So just come on in with that final little stuff. The finish line is in sight. This afternoon at 3 p.m., Sister Nataki from Sean Michelle's and I will be at Legacy Men's Boutique. We're going to do a live from there at 3 p.m. Central Time, IG Live. And what we're doing is we're just celebrating the coming of Savior's Day. We're going around to the area businesses. So the directory just wants to pump people up. Last week we were at Sean Michelle's and Sister Nataki was showing all the great stuff that she's going to have available for Savior's Day. This week we're going to Brother Mandine's and we're going to talk about Savior's Day and what he's got on in store for us, and really doing what? Raising the energy level. Because when you vibrate high, the stuff that don't match with you will fall away and you will change your environment overnight. So tune in IG Live today, 3 p.m. Central Time. Or if you want to just stop by Legacy Men's Boutique, you can do that too. I'll post it on Instagram. And make sure you add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku lineup. So thank you for you all in the chat. I'm sorry I couldn't keep up with y'all. I got a little filled with the Holy Spirit. I stopped reading. Let's see. Sister Lisa R said, thank you for an awesome show. Brother Lamont said he's getting a hoodie and a coin. Yeah. So I got a new clothing brand I'm coming out with called Divine Intervention. It's a lifestyle brand, actually. And it's got clothing. And we got sweatshirts that have the commemorative Elijah coin on it. But we also got a sweatshirt that says #I know Jesus. Y'all got it? #I know Jesus. Type that in the chat. #I know Jesus. Okay, praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Sister Roxanne says, thank you. That was great. Auntie says, wonderful preaching prayer this morning. Magnetic Kinetic brother says, wow, all praises due to Allah. Sister Anissa laughing at me talking about the boom boom room. Sister Leisha, she said, teach, praise be to Allah. Sister Aletha just got the bullseyes on here. Yeah, superhuman with these teachings. That's exactly right. Okay, my mom said, amen. That's my new favorite saying, amen. All right, praise be to Allah, family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for coming on today on the show. Make sure you support. And if you don't go to Sajdah House donations, look, do a quick Cash App, support the brand. We got to remember, freedom ain't free. And if you had to pay for this kind of word and information, I promise you, these people are charging thousands of dollars. So that's our Cash App. Go out there, Cash App us, help support the platform, which is very, very important. We have to be able to fund ourselves so that we can talk about what we want to talk about. So that's the Cash App. That's right, Sister Roxanne. I know Jesus, and you can get you one of those hoodies too. All right, family, peace and blessings. Love you all. Happy Saturday. Love on somebody today. Take care of somebody today. But most importantly, invest in yourself today. Peace and blessings.